On my son's birthday, Mom messaged, "We're not coming, your son isn't the priority." Then I saw a group photo. My family at a theme park with my sister's kids, captioned, "Finally a real celebration." I replied with one word. Great. That night I cut every payment, shut off their phone lines and took my name off the house. The next day, Dad was at my door screaming my name. Asterisk asterisk. Dramatic, slightly slow pacing for the hook, building intensity. Can you imagine being told straight up that your own child just isn't a priority? That's what my mother texted me on my son's birthday. But it was the photo she posted minutes later that truly gut-punched me, revealing a betrayal so deep, I knew my life would never, ever be the same. Slight pause, then a more conversational, reflective tone. My name is Ethan, and I'm 38 years old. If there's one thing life has taught me, it's this. Being dependable can make you invisible. For most of my adult life, I was the human safety net. They called me when rent was short. I was the one wiring money for the mortgage. I literally kept the lights on in my parents' house. Every single month. Pacing picks up slightly, a hint of weariness. Like clockwork, I'd transfer $2,400 for their mortgage. Another $180 for their 3 phone lines. Car insurance. Mine too, $320 combined. Utilities during winter months could hit $400 because they just couldn't be bothered to turn down the heat. I paid it all, without a question, without a thank you, without even a flicker of acknowledgement. My sister, Melissa. She never paid a dime. She didn't need to. In their eyes, Melissa was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. She had 2 kids, Brandon and Sophie, and my parents treated those children like royalty. Every birthday, every holiday, even on a random Tuesday, my parents showed up for Melissa's family with gifts, with time, with love that just overflowed. For me. Silence. Voice softens, a deep sadness. I have a son too. His name is Danny. He just turned 7. He loves dinosaurs, he loves building things with his hands. And he used to ask me every single day, "Are Grandma and Grandpa coming to visit?" I always told him soon. And I always lied. My wife Rachel, she stopped asking me why my family never came around years ago. She saw the pattern. She watched me send the money. She watched me answer every frantic phone call. And she watched them forget I existed the moment the crisis passed. I grew up in that house. The same one I was still paying for. I remember being 14, watching my parents sell my bike to buy Melissa a prom dress. I remember being 19, hearing them tell me I couldn't go to college because they needed me to work and help support the family. And I remember being 25, watching them co-sign a loan for Melissa's first house while I was still renting a studio apartment and sending them half my paycheck. I thought that's what family did. I thought if I kept giving, kept providing, kept being dependable, eventually they would see me. Eventually they would say thank you. Eventually I would matter. Short, punchy, full of regret. I was wrong. 3 months ago, I invited them to Danny's school play. He had the lead role, you know. He practiced his lines every night for 6 weeks. My mother said they'd try to make it. They didn't show up. 2 weeks later I saw photos on Facebook. Them, front row, cheering wildly at Melissa's daughter's soccer game. Last month, I asked if they wanted to come over for dinner. My father said they were busy. That same weekend, Melissa posted pictures of a family barbecue at their house. My parents were in every photo, laughing, holding sparklers with the grandkids. I stopped asking after that. I kept paying, but I stopped expecting anything. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was fine. I told myself being the dependable one was enough, even if it meant being invisible. But deep down something had shifted. I was tired. So tired. Tired of being the backup plan. Tired of being the ATM they only called for cash. Tired of watching my son ask why his grandparents never came to see him. I didn't know it yet, but everything was about to change. Because in 3 days it would be Danny's birthday. And this time I was going to find out exactly how little I mattered to them. Shift to narrative present, a sense of foreboding calm. Saturday morning, I woke up to the smell of pancakes. Rachel was already in the kitchen with Danny, who was bouncing in his chair, talking non-stop about his party later that afternoon. We'd rented a small community center. There would be a bounce house, pizza, and a dinosaur cake Danny helped design himself. He'd invited 12 kids from school and, of course, his grandparents. I'd sent the invitation 2 weeks ago. A physical card with the date, time, and address. My mother texted back a thumbs-up emoji. That was it. No words. Just a thumbs up. I told Danny they were coming. I lied again. At 9:47 a.m., my phone buzzed on the counter. It was a text from my mother. "Ethan, we are not coming today. Danny is a sweet kid, but he is not the priority right now. Melissa needs us. Hope you understand." Voice low, almost a whisper, raw emotion. I stared at the screen. I read it 3 times. The words didn't change. Danny is not the priority. Something cold, something I'd never felt before, settled in my chest. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was clarity. I didn't respond. I put the phone down and helped Danny finish his pancakes. He asked if Grandma and Grandpa were coming. I told him they had something important to do. He just nodded and went back to talking about dinosaurs. At 11:32 a.m., my phone buzzed again. This time it was a Facebook notification. Melissa had posted a new photo. I opened it without thinking. The image loaded slowly, piece by piece. And when it finally appeared, the air just left my lungs. It was a group photo. My parents, Melissa, her husband, and her 2 kids, all standing in front of a brightly colored theme park entrance. Everyone was smiling. My mother was holding Sophie. My father had his arm around Brandon. The caption read, "Finally, a real celebration. Best day ever with the family that matters." Voice filled with disbelief and pain, then a quiet rage. Finally, a real celebration. I zoomed in on their faces. They looked so happy. Happier than I had ever seen them. My mother was wearing the jacket I bought her last Christmas. My father was holding a stuffed animal that probably cost $40. I could see the timestamp. Uploaded 23 minutes ago. They were there right now at a theme park with Melissa's kids on my son's birthday. I set the phone down carefully like it might explode. Rachel walked over, saw my face. "What happened?" she asked. I handed her the phone. She looked at the photo, then at my mother's text. Her jaw tightened. "Ethan," she said quietly. Voice tight with suppressed emotion. I shook my head. I didn't want to talk about it. Not yet. I walked into the living room and sat on the couch. Danny ran past me with a toy dinosaur, roaring. He had no idea. He was still excited. He still thought today was going to be special. Picked up my phone again. Opened the text from my mother. Typed 1 word. Short, definitive. "Great." I hit send. That was it. No argument, no explanation, no begging them to reconsider. Just 1 word. Great. Because in that moment, I finally understood something I should have years ago. I wasn't invisible because I was quiet. I was invisible because they chose not to see me. They chose to take my money and ignore my son. They chose to celebrate with Melissa while I stood in the background, paying for the life they lived. And I was done. Pacing quickens, determined. I opened my laptop, logged into my bank account, pulled up every automatic payment tied to my parents. Mortgage, phone, insurance, utilities, streaming services. I stared at the list for a long moment, my finger hovering over the mouse. Then I started clicking. The party went exactly as planned. 12 kids screaming in a bounce house. Pizza boxes stacked on a folding table. Danny's face covered in chocolate frosting from the dinosaur cake. He was happy. That was all that mattered. But I was somewhere else. Physically, I was there. I handed out juice boxes. Helped kids tie their shoes. Smiled when parents thanked me. But mentally, I was still sitting on my couch, staring at that photo. Finally, a real celebration. The words looped in my head like a broken record. Rachel noticed. She always noticed. She squeezed my hand when no one was looking and whispered we'd talk later. He nodded. I didn't trust myself to speak. When the party ended, we packed up Danny and drove home. He fell asleep in the back seat, clutching a toy dinosaur someone gave him. I glanced at him in the rearview mirror. His face was peaceful content. He had no idea his grandparents chose a theme park over him. He had no idea I had just cancelled every payment that kept their lives comfortable. Rachel waited until we got Danny into bed before she sat me down at the kitchen table. "Are you okay?" she asked. I didn't answer right away. I wasn't okay, no, but I wasn't falling apart either. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Control. For the first time in my life, I was the one making the decision. I was the one choosing to stop. And it felt strange. Terrifying. But also right. Voice firm, resolute. "They're not coming back," I said quietly. Rachel nodded. She already knew. She'd known for years. "What did you do?" she asked. I told her. I told her I cancelled the mortgage payment. I told her I ended the phone plan. I told her I stopped the insurance autopay. I told her I removed myself from every single financial obligation tied to my parents. I did it in 20 minutes, sitting on the couch while my son played with dinosaurs. Rachel didn't look shocked. She looked relieved. "Good," she said. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I thought about the last 15 years. All the money I sent, all the calls I answered, all the times I dropped everything to help them. I thought about the bike they sold, the college fund that never existed, the invitations they ignored, the birthdays they missed, the grandson they pretended to love but never made time for. I thought about the text. "Danny is not the priority." I thought about the photo. Finally, a real celebration. And I felt nothing. No guilt, no doubt, no regret. Just a strange, quiet certainty that I had done the right thing. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the dependable one. I wasn't the backup plan. I wasn't the invisible sun sending money into the void. Deep breath, then exhale slowly, sounding utterly free. I was free. I rolled over and closed my eyes. Tomorrow the calls would start. Tomorrow the panic would begin. Tomorrow they would realize what I had done. But tonight, I slept better than I had in years. Because tonight, I finally stopped carrying a weight that was never mine to carry. Tone shifts to a slight buildup of suspense and satisfaction. Monday came fast. I went to work like normal. Answered emails. Sat through meetings. Ate lunch at my desk. But in the back of my mind I was waiting. Waiting for the first sign that the ground beneath my parents' feet had started to crack. The first call came at 2:17 p.m. It was my father. I let it ring. He didn't leave a voicemail. He called again at 2:19, then again at 2:23. I silenced my phone and went back to work. By the time I got home that evening, I had 11 missed calls. 7 from my father, 4 from my mother. I didn't listen to the voicemails. I didn't need to. I already knew what they were going to say. At 6:48 p.m., a text came through from my father. "Ethan, call me. The mortgage payment bounced. I need you to fix this." I stared at the message. I need you to fix this. Not can you help. Not what happened. Just a command. Fix this, like I was a customer service hotline. Like I existed only to solve their problems. I deleted the text without responding. 10 minutes later, another text. This time from my mother. "Our phones aren't working. Did you forget to pay the bill?" Did I forget? As if I had ever forgotten. As if I hadn't paid that bill every single month for the past 8 years without a single thank you. I deleted that one too. At 8 p.m. my phone rang again. My father. I declined the call. He tried again immediately. I declined again. Then he tried a third time. This time I answered. Voice flat, cold. "What?" said. "Ethan, what the hell is going on?" His voice was sharp, angry. "The bank called. They said the mortgage payment was rejected. And the phone company shut off our lines. What did you do?" Confident, steady. "I stopped paying," I said. There was silence on the other end. Not the thoughtful kind, the stunned kind. "You what?" "I stopped paying for your mortgage. I stopped paying for your phones. I stopped paying for your insurance. I stopped paying for everything." "You can't just do that," he said, his voice rising. We have bills. We have responsibilities. So do I said. And one of those responsibilities is my son. The one you skipped on Saturday. That was Melissa's thing, he said quickly. She needed us. She always needs you, I said. And I always pay. That's the deal, right? I stay invisible. I stay quiet. Keep sending money. And you get to pretend I don't exist. That's not fair, he said. A short, humorless laugh. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Where were you when I graduated high school? You were at Melissa's cheer competition. Where were you when I got married? You left early because Melissa needed help moving. Where were you when Danny was born? You showed up 3 days later because you were babysitting Melissa's kids. So don't talk to me. Asterisk about fair. He opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time he looked unsure. I need you to turn the payments back on, he said finally. Your mother and I can't afford the house without you. Voice hardened, unyielding. Then sell it, I said. His face went pale. You don't mean that. I do, I said. Sell the house. Downsize. Get an apartment. Figure it out. You are adults. You don't need me to take care of you anymore. Ethan, please, he said, and his voice cracked. Don't do this. I already did, I said. I pushed past him and unlocked the door. And if you come to my house again without an invitation, I will call the police. I stepped inside and closed the door. I locked it. I stood there for a moment listening. I could hear him breathing on the other side. Then I heard his footsteps, slow, heavy, walking away. Rachel was standing in the hallway. She had heard everything. Are you okay? She asked. He nodded. And for the first time in years, I actually meant it. That night, after Danny went to bed, I sat down at my desk and opened my filing cabinet. I had kept everything. Every receipt, every bank statement, every email, every text message for 12 years. I documented every single dollar I sent to my parents. I didn't do it because I planned to use it against them. I did it because I was organized, because I liked having proof, because deep down maybe I always knew this day would come. I pulled out the folder labeled Family Expenses and spread the contents across my desk. The numbers were staggering. Over $340,000 in total. Mortgage payments, insurance, utilities, car repairs, medical bills, vacations, gifts for Melissa's kids, emergency loans that were never repaid. Paid for everything. And I had proof of all of it. Rachel came in with 2 cups of coffee and sat down next to me. She looked at the papers and let out a low whistle. That's a house, she said quietly. That's 2 houses, I said. She picked up a bank statement from 4 years ago. You sent them $4,800 that month. Melissa's wedding, I said. They asked me to cover the catering. They said they'd pay me back. They never did. Rachel set the paper down and looked at me. What are you going to do with all this? I don't know yet, I said. But I want to be ready. I spent the next 2 hours organizing everything. I created a spreadsheet. Listed every payment by date, amount, and purpose. I scanned receipts. Exported bank statements. Backed everything up on 3 separate drives. By the time I finished, it was almost midnight. And I had a complete, undeniable record of every dollar I gave them. The next morning I called a lawyer. His name was Martin, and he specialized in family law and property disputes. I scheduled a consultation for Thursday. I didn't tell Rachel where I was going. I didn't tell anyone. I just needed to know my options. Wednesday passed quietly. My parents called 6 more times. I didn't answer. My mother left a voicemail. Ethan, please. We're sorry. We didn't mean to hurt you. Please call us back. We need to talk. I deleted it. Melissa sent me a text. What is going on? Mom and Dad are freaking out. Did you really stop paying for everything? I didn't respond. A sense of methodical purpose. Thursday afternoon, I sat in Martin's office and laid out the entire situation. I showed him the spreadsheet. I showed him the receipts. I explained the house, the mortgage, the bills. I explained that my name wasn't on the deed, but I'd been making payments for over a decade. Martin leaned back in his chair and looked at me for a long moment. You've been funding their lifestyle for 12 years with no formal agreement, he asked. Correct. And now you want to stop. I already stopped, I said. But I want to make sure they can't come after me. And I want to remove any legal ties I have to them. Martin nodded slowly. Do you have any co-signed loans, joint accounts? Are you listed on any property? No co-signed loans. No joint accounts. But I am listed as an authorized user on their mortgage account because I make the payments. Then you need to remove yourself, Martin said. Contact the lender. Tell them you are no longer responsible for payments. Get it in writing. That way, if they default, it doesn't affect your credit. What about the money I already gave them? Yes. Can I get any of it back? Martin shook his head. Not unless you had a written agreement. Gifts between family members are hard to recover. But the good news is you have no legal obligation to keep paying. You can walk away clean. I left his office with a clear plan. Remove myself from the mortgage account, document everything, protect my own credit, walk away. That night, I drafted an email to the mortgage company. Attached my identification. Requested removal as an authorized user. I hit send at 11:47 p.m. By Friday morning it was done. Pacing increases, tension builds. Friday night my father came back. This time he wasn't calm. This time he was screaming. I heard him before I saw him. His voice carried through the front door, loud and desperate. Ethan, open this door. Ethan. Rachel grabbed my arm. Don't go out there. I'm not, I said. I pulled out my phone and called 911. 911, what is your emergency? There's a man on my property, screaming and refusing to leave, I said calmly. I've asked him to go and he won't. The operator took my address and said an officer would arrive within 10 minutes. I stayed inside. My father kept yelling. He pounded on the door. Shouted my name over and over. Danny woke up and came into the hallway, scared. Who is that? He asked. No one important, Rachel said, guiding him back to his room. 8 minutes later I heard a siren. The yelling stopped. I looked through the window and saw a police car in my driveway. An officer was talking to my father, who was gesturing wildly, pointing at my house. The officer said something I couldn't hear. My father shook his head. The officer said something else, firmer this time. My father finally walked to his car and got in. He sat there for a moment staring at my house. Then he drove away. The officer knocked on my door. Answered. Are you Ethan? He asked. Yes. The man outside says he's your father. He says you owe him money. I don't owe him anything, I said. I used to help him with bills, but I stopped. He won't accept that. The officer nodded. He's gone now. If he comes back, call us again. You can also file for a restraining order if it continues. Thank you, I said. After the officer left, I sat down on the couch and let out a long breath. Rachel sat next to me. It's really over, she said. Not yet, I said. But almost. A sense of quiet resolution, but still a cold weight. Saturday morning, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I should. Hello, is this Ethan? A woman's voice asked. Yes, this is. Hi Ethan, this is Karen from First National Bank. I'm calling regarding the property at 428 Maple Street. You were listed as an authorized payer on this account, but we received a request to remove you. Can you confirm this was your request? Yes, it was. Okay. I have processed that request. However, I need to inform you that the account is now 30 days past due. The payment for this month was declined, and the previous month's payment was reversed. The homeowners have been notified that they have 60 days to bring the account current, or the property will enter foreclosure proceedings. I felt a cold weight settle in my chest. Not guilt, just finality. Thank you for letting me know, I said. Is there anything else I can help you with today? She asked. No, I said. That's all. Hung up. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at my phone. 60 days. In 60 days, my parents would lose the house. The house I paid for. The house they took for granted. The house they thought would always be there because I would always be there. But I wasn't there anymore. That afternoon, I got a text from Melissa. "You need to fix this. Mom is crying. Dad is losing it. They're going to lose the house because of you. How can you do this to them? How can you be so selfish?" I typed a reply slowly, carefully. I paid for that house for 12 years. I paid for their phones, their insurance, their bills. I did that while they ignored my son and chose you over me. Every single time they made their choice. Now they live with it. I hit send. Then I blocked her number. Rachel came into the kitchen and saw my face. "What happened?" "The house is going into foreclosure," I said. She nodded. She didn't look surprised. "And how do you feel?" "Thought about it. I thought about the bike they sold, the college fund that never existed, the birthdays they missed, the grandson they ignored, the text that said Danny wasn't the priority, the photo captioned, 'Finally a real celebration.' Voice full of quiet triumph and peace. "I feel free," I said. 3 weeks passed. I didn't hear from my parents again. I didn't hear from Melissa. The silence was strange at first. For years, my phone buzzed constantly with requests, with demands, with guilt trips disguised as concern. Now there was nothing. And I realized. I didn't miss it. Rachel and I took Danny to the zoo one Saturday. We walked through the exhibits, watched him point excitedly at the lions, bought him overpriced ice cream. It was a normal day, a quiet day, and it was perfect. On the way home, Danny asked me a question. "Dad, are Grandma and Grandpa ever coming to visit?" I looked at him in the rearview mirror. He wasn't sad, just curious. "Nope," I said. "They're not." "Okay," he said, and went back to playing with his toy dinosaur. That was it. No tears, no confusion, just acceptance. Because for Danny, my parents were never really there in the first place. He didn't lose anything. He just stopped waiting for something that was never going to happen. I pulled into the driveway and turned off the car. Rachel reached over and squeezed my hand. "You did the right thing," she said. He nodded. I believed her. That night I checked my email and found a message from Martin, my lawyer. The subject line read, "Final update." Opened it. "Ethan, the mortgage company has confirmed your removal from the account. You have no legal or financial liability for the property. Additionally, I reviewed the documents you provided and confirmed that you have no other financial ties to your parents. You are free and clear. If you need anything else, let me know. Best, Martin." Deeply satisfied, almost emotional. I read it twice. Free and clear. I saved the email and closed my laptop. 2 days later, I got a letter in the mail. It was from my mother. The envelope was thin, the handwriting shaky. I almost threw it away, but I opened it. The letter was short. "Ethan, I don't understand why you are doing this. We are your family. We raised you. We gave you everything. And now you are abandoning us when we need you most. I hope you can live with that. Mom." I folded the letter and put it back in the envelope. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel sadness. I just felt tired. Tired of the lies. Tired of the manipulation. Tired of being told I owed them something when they never gave me anything in return. I walked to the trash can and dropped the letter inside. That weekend, Rachel and I started looking at houses. Bigger houses. Houses with yards where Danny could play. Houses far enough away that my parents wouldn't just show up. We found one we liked in a quiet neighborhood 40 minutes north. We put in an offer. It was accepted. 1 month later, we moved. Danny loved his new room. Rachel loved the kitchen. I loved the distance. The space. Peace. I never heard from my parents again. I don't know if they lost the house. I don't know where they're living now. I don't know if they finally realize what they lost. And honestly, I don't care. Because for the first time in my life, I'm not carrying their weight. I'm not paying their bills. I'm not answering their calls. I'm not invisible. I'm free. And that is enough. Slight pause, then a genuine inviting tone. It was a tough journey, but standing here now, I know I made the right choice for my family. Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand with family, even when it felt impossible? Or maybe you've been the dependable one and felt invisible. Tell me your thoughts. I'd really love to hear them in the comments below.